Hi guys, Norwegian Symphony here. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing something a little different and we're actually going to do a shell challenge created by Risshella. This is her Double Trouble shell challenge. And I'm going to be making an apartment on the left side, and on the right side there will be a thrift and bubble tea store. And I've called this lot Double Trouble, Thrift and Bubble. If anyone's unfamiliar with what a shell challenge is, it is basically where one player makes the shell of a building or a house and shares it for other people to do what they want with them. For most of the shell challenges that I've seen, people usually only do exterior walls, but in this case Risshella added stairs and a couple of walls on the inside as well. And usually for shell challenges you're allowed to add half walls, fences, platforms, foundations, and all of that. But you can't change any of the existing walls and you can't add any more to the exterior. And I promise I did keep the interior walls where Risshella had placed them. I just usually cut out the floor plan on my builds because it takes me so long and it gets a bit tedious to watch. I decided to turn these into sort of older and historic looking townhouses. And I kind of imagined that they were both attached to other townhouses on each side, so I haven't added any windows to the sides. Obviously they're not actually attached to anything else, so we kind of just have to use our imagination. I placed this shell on a 30x40 lot in Magnolia Promenade because I didn't really know how much space I wanted around the building, but obviously I ended up wanting this to be a townhouse and imagine it being stuck to other townhouses, so I didn't really need all the space anyway, so I ended up moving it to a 30x30 lot in Newcrest. I'm going to spend a long time on the exterior of this build. As you might notice, there is no CC in this build, which is new to me. I don't usually do that. So it took me a while to kind of get to know the game and what it actually offers when I'm so used to just going for CC options. And now I had to find in-game options that kind of did the same thing that I wanted to use my CC for. And for a very long time, these townhouses are both going to look quite similar, but it's going to be easier to tell them apart once I get started on the front area of the lot in front of the houses. And I will say, doing this build really made me want to do a similar build, but with my CCs. So there might be some more townhouses in this channel's future, so I hope you'll stick around for that. The inside of the apartment kind of looks like it's been renovated, but it's kept the original floor plan, so the kitchen is like long and narrow. And upstairs there are 3 bedrooms, but one of the bedrooms, the smallest one, has just an archway into it. Kind of imagine that it used to be sort of an office nook instead, and then this family had another kid and they needed the space for something else. And throughout this build, I just imagined a single parent and 3 kids living in the apartment and then owning the thrift and bubble tea store next door. I wanted to go for the teal swatch on the appliances from Parenthood, but then I kind of panicked and I didn't, and I ended up just going for the grey one instead. I really like this dining area in front of the window. I think it's really cute. I've got to say though, I did kind of struggle not using any CC in this build because I've gotten really used to it, and it is very comforting to almost always be able to have matching wood tones and stuff, and that's not too easy to do with just the regular in-game objects. But I still had some fun with it, and it was cool to do a shell challenge, which I haven't really done before. The living room ends up having 2 seating areas, and they both do face the TV, but I kind of thought one was more for TV watching and the other one was more for family time and reading or something. I kind of wanted some graffiti looking things on the wall, and for some reason this shrimp or lobster or whatever it is kind of matched the color set going on, so there's a lobster on the wall. If it even is a lobster, I'm sorry, I don't know, I'm not that familiar with sea creatures. If for some reason some of you don't follow Risshella, I'll leave some links down below, both to her YouTube channel and also her Twitch channel, which she streams at regularly. I really enjoy her content, and I'm pretty sure anyone else will too. we're moving on to the thrift and bubble tea store, where the thrift store is going to be upstairs and then I'll have the bubble tea store downstairs. As you can see, we've already filled some of the lot requirements because of the apartment. I wasn't really paying too much attention to that list because most of it kind of came naturally with the look I wanted anyways. I do always seem to forget that there is supposed to be a microphone here though, but it's there and it even gets its own little stage on a platform, and I also added a guitar in there next to it. I even added some surveillance cameras or something. I think they're from Get to Work, so there are a couple downstairs and a couple upstairs. I really like this crystal chandelier from high school years. I sized them up and then I used a couple of them above the tables downstairs. Because I usually always use CC in my builds, I seem to forget that the game actually has a couple of nice things too. And I definitely rediscovered a couple of those nice things when I was doing this build. And also those little details like the surveillance cameras and hand sanitizer and stuff that I'll put in the bathrooms upstairs. Because I don't have CC versions of it, I kind of forget that it exists. I wanted this space to feel warm and cozy, and in the end it kind of ends up like a bit of an opposite to how the apartment looks, but I think that's quite fun and I like it. The wallpaper I've used on most of the space is from university, and it actually is quite nice, and it has some cute swatches, and I feel like every time I see it, I tell myself that I need to remember it, and then by the next time, it's out of my mind again, and it's like a new little surprise every time I see it. And the same goes for this gorgeous floral burgundy wall that is from Paranormal Stuff. I've added some stone plaques to the wall, and one of them has a picture of an avocado, which I thought was kind of nice. They were actually from Jungle Adventure, and I don't think I've ever used them, but I feel like they kind of worked here somehow. This plant that I'm placing now is also from Jungle Adventure, and it has this weird shadow glitch to it. I've noticed it before, and it kind of bugged me, but I like the plant so much that I ended up using it anyway. Hopefully it's not that noticeable. Now we're working on the bathrooms. They're upstairs in the thrift store. And I went for 3 different gold mirrors above the sinks, kind of just pretending that they're thrifted on different occasions or from different places. The thrift store actually ends up being smaller than I kind of intended for it to be, whilst the bathroom is massive compared to what I would have wanted. But that's actually because of one of those interior walls that Risshella had placed, and there was really no other way I could do it. At least I couldn't figure it out in any other way. So this is what we're working with. I decided to do some fun accent walls up here too, and so I decided to use these wainscoting pieces from the Decor to the Max kit and also the wallpaper from the same kit. Now we're going to move on to the rest of the outside, so now it's hopefully going to be a bit easier to see which half is the apartment and which half is the Double Bubble Thrift and Bubble store. Double Trouble Thrift and Bubble store. This would be a horrible name for a business. I have mispronounced it so many times during this voiceover, it's almost embarrassing. On the gallery, it's not actually called the Double Trouble Thrift and Bubble. Well, it's called that, but without any vowels because the name was too long for the gallery. Thank you for hanging out with me today. Please like and subscribe, it means a lot to me. Make sure you have a look in the description of the video to find some links to Rishella's channels as well. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye!